Yeah, exactly. And Joe Rogan, goes on and on and on about this. Uh, that dynamic of humility in martial arts and fighting. But yeah, deep down, it's like almost like it goes literally to like the small dog, the tiny dog syndrome. Like the tiny dog feels the need to like bark and project itself as like strong to like defend itself, while like the big dogs have a tendency to be chill and they're not threatened, so they don't bark as much. And like this deep psychology goes into even poker. Like if someone's brand new at poker, they like subconsciously, if they have a really, really, really strong hand, like they tend to act and put off an aura of being weak.
Yeah.
But if somebody typically if they have a weak hand and they're trying to bluff you, they project strength and they puff up their chest and they bet big. And like, I mean, this goes down to like primal nature and just like even like all the way down to like, I haven't talked about this a lot, but like the whole like lizard brain or whatever. I think that's kind of cringe, but
well, it's like that dude says in that one song, "Damn, it feels good to be a gangsta." Like a real gangsta ass nigga don't gotta flex nuts, because a real gangsta ass nigga know he got them.
Ooh, wise words. It ain't tricking if you got it.
Yep.
I love how like stunting and like tricking, like trick. It's all in the word. It's like, oh, you're tricking people.
Yeah.
Like, there's this whole concept in Dallas. Like Dallas, for all of its benefits, it does have a culture and tendency to be pretty materialistic. And you have this concept of the Dallas millionaire. Like this guy who drives like, who lives way above his means, probably makes like 50, 40K a year, 60K, but drives around like a 60K like BMW car and like wears like, like a chain and like the fancy expensive shoes. And like, go to the club, pull up in the BMW and got the shoes, and so you're tricking. Like you're projecting all this wealth as if like you're like, this hot shot, but really deep down, like you're up to your eyeballs in debt and like barely able to like sustain that lifestyle. And this is everybody, dude. This is the whole keeping up with the Joneses, and also it's Rene Girard's mimetic theory of like people just in vanity, right? It's all about appearances and not about the substance. Like the appearances like matter more than like the inner substance, like what's deep down.
Yeah.
People want to signal status.
Yeah, exactly. And like Apple's brilliant in that. Like they tapped into like the status thing, and obviously I think this really, it's early days. It started with like clothes, right? Like being able to wear a 3-piece. Watches used to be extremely like a little pocket watch. Like you were like a hot shot, big time, player if you had like a pocket watch back in the day and a monocle. And then like Apple was like it's and what's funny is that like the status signal of a phone is growing as a like not a good signal anymore, just because like all the phone companies will just sell you a phone like on a 3-year plan. Like in the early days, like you couldn't take out a loan. They literally have phone loans, just like they used to have car loans. So like everybody, like the Starbucks barista has iPhone, one of the latest iPhone 13 Pros, and then like obviously like AirPods is like remember like the Bluetooth ear thing? That was like a status symbol, like back when
Yeah,
like before pre-iPhone, like
It's
the
not
one
a symbol
single
when everybody has them.
earpiece. Yeah. And like obviously you see it in the fashion industry. You have these icons that like Michael Jordan wearing Jordans. Like, oh yeah, like he's cool, Jordan's cool, and this is the shoes that he wears. That's what I'm gonna wear. Like, and then you even see it in like what's it called? What was the movie? The Looney Tunes movie, Space Jam. It's like when Bugs Bunny like slaps the label on the water bottle that says Jordan's secret stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they just drink water. Like, oh, now I'm gonna play like Jordan.
Yeah.
And so that is
funny.
like a playing on the whole like it's like artificially stirring up faith in oneself.
Mm.
And it's like it's kind of like a chicken or the egg problem too. It's like sometimes people just need that nudge to like reach their
Like the
potential.
kilo.
That like yeah. But like the level to which that's like it's a fine line between like just being like fake and like actually being like legit.
Now they have Jordans and like payment plans. Like
Oh my gosh.
I think they're like $1,000 or something.
Same.
But
Yeah. Yeah, and I think part of the function here too, like it used to be a lot riskier to sell things on credit and on loan, but like with how sophisticated technology is, like it's becoming easier and easier to hunt people down in order to get your money back.
Mm.
So like there's a certain extent to where like this is rational to do it, but yeah, now there's like the car bubble. Like it used to be unheard of to have like 7 to 9 year loans on a car because like and like there was this whole thing about like driving Uber. Because let's say I'm an Uber driver and I buy a car on a 7-year loan and I just drive the heck out of that car for the first year driving around Uber. And then all of a sudden, like, that I bought the car on a loan, 7-year loan, let's just say $30,000. And then I stopped paying after a year, and the car has 200,000 miles on it after a year. That car, I only paid back, let's just say it's a 10-year loan, just to make it super easy. 10-year loan, $100,000 car. I'm paying back $1,000 a year on it, but if I put $200,000 on it after a year and I stop paying and I have 9 years left to pay back the $100,000, like, the company that loaned the car to me just lost a ton of money.
Yeah.
There's like the car industry is very interesting.
I remember back in like 2016 or so, when I think Uber was really starting to take off. My brother was bought a new car, and his plan was to do Uber with it. And the bank that gave him the loan for the car ended up rescinding the loan because they knew that that's what he was going to do with it.
Yeah. And so, and this is what people don't get. Like you have these populist politician movements. So like the most popular one that communists talk about is like, oh, like landlords, they're stealing money, like this shouldn't be allowed. And like what they don't realize is the amount of risk that a landlord is taking by like buying the house and renting it to you. Like there are some disaster horror stories where, you know, they'll lease out their home that they just bought to a tenant, and then the tenant retaliates or something, or they have a dog that they don't know about that destroys the house. Right? So like they think that, oh, they're making money, they're extracting value from the labor class, and it's just like, no, this is like they're getting compensated for the risk that they're taking. Like, and this is what like profit. But
Yeah, they conflate profit with like ill-gotten gains.
yeah, and there's a legitimate problem with like rent seeking, right? And rent seeking is you know, extracting value without adding any value.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a good, very clear example of that, but
To Investopedia we go.
yeah, rent seeking. There was a really
Typically, it revolves around government-funded social services and social service programs. Of course it does.
yeah.
Key takeaways. An example of rent seeking is when a company lobbies the government for grants, subsidies, or tariff protection. Lobbying is a form of rent seeking.
Yeah, and there's a certain degree in which like gangs, I mean, this is a phenomenon throughout the developing world. You know, talk about it's quote unquote insurance money, where it's like you approach a local business, a local farm, the mob, the gang comes and knocks on your door. It's like, hey, you know, there's another gang on the other side. You know, they're very ruthless and mean, and like it would be a shame if they came and like, you know, looted and stole from you and, you know, burned down your barn. Like, but you know what? If you give us a 10% tax, if you give us 10%, you know, we'll protect you from this gang from the other side of the town. But like, you know, but meanwhile, it's like if you don't pay, then that gang, the same gang who's offering to protect you, is just gonna burn your shit,
Yeah.
rob you.
And even if it is somebody else that actually does,
So
that,
like
and I
that's
don't do
so
anything
like
about it.
so like yeah, so it's like it's almost like the whole thing like I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. That's like it's like read between the lines. It's like, yeah, I'm offering to add you value, but they're not adding value. They're just rent seeking.
Yeah.
They're just trying to extract value from you without having to do anything.
Yeah. Well, at least not with doing what they're promising to do in exchange for that money.
Yeah.
Because they'll do things to threaten you into giving. So it's almost like you're better off not giving it to them, because then when they finally do something and you give them the money, then at least you're giving them money for something that they did.
Yeah. And yeah, this makes me think of, and I don't know how far off track or how tangentially far we are from the topic of trust.
We're kind of far.
We're pretty far. We're off the reservation. But I mean, just thinking about militias and what militias are, and basically, throughout history, when you have a local community of good people who trust each other, right?
Now we're
Like
back.
our incentives are aligned. I have a house that I've invested a ton of time and money on. I've displayed that like, you know, like my incentives are aligned with the interests of this community and my neighbor and whatever. You can have the men of that local community band together and make an alliance and an allegiance to protect themselves, let's just say, from a gang, so that
Hmm.
they don't have to pay a tax.
It's trust in one party due to a distrust in another.
Yeah, and it's about why do I trust? Why am I placing trust and faith in one party over the other, right? Well, in
Mm.
one sense, like a local community, let's just say a neighborhood, like you can trust your neighbors. They have a house and they have an interest in protecting the neighborhood because they have a vested interest clearly by the fact that they live there. So like,
Tribalism.
yeah, if you band together, and this is what a militia was. It was basically just all the local community that had guns. It's like, okay, if the redcoats come,
Mhm.
we're gonna ring this bell, sound the alarm. We're gonna meet here, and we're gonna figure out how to deal with them. And like, we'll go up on this hill, and you know, fender. I mean, look at castles, right? Like you had a watchtower.
Ah.
You had someone on watch, and like, you know, if you know invaders like the Mongols, some or Germanic the barbarians in Rome, like during like the Roman collapse, like they were just like the barbarians across the Roman Empire were just ransacking like little bits and pieces outside of the Roman Empire, which eventually led to the decline and collapse.
Oh wow.
Um, so yeah, it's trust, and
Mhm.
again, to like I can't remember what book it is. Nassim Taleb again talks about like I think he has a whole book called Skin in the Game,
Yeah, that's it.
and how that relates to trust. And basically, like aligning incentives is the solution for being efficient and like having a well functioning, well oiled like machine, a well oiled and well functioning society, a healthy society.
You can trust somebody that has skin in the game because they've taken on risk.
Yeah, it's proof of work.
Yeah.
Like
Or,
they've
I mean, like
they clearly have demonstrated and displayed that.
effort, like
Yeah.
provable effort.
Yeah.
I mean, like I guess investing money could be considered a form of provable work because they had to do work to get that money, presumably.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent and good metric. Yeah, trust. I don't know. Does anyone else have any thoughts? We've kind of it's just been me and Math. Natalia,
Pretty-
anything that has come to mind over